Welcome to your talk on water, how your water affects your body, and different ways that you can have awareness of the water systems you have available to you to make the best decisions for yourself. This is a beautiful topic that I love to talk about. So my name is Keeva, and my interest in water really came from my desire to understand the truth around medicine and healing. And I went into that in many different aspects, from nourishment to energy to meditation. And then I came around to water through traveling and noticing the different aspects of water as I traveled through different countries, how they affected my body, and also touching in on some spirituality around water, and in some places how they have sacred water temples and healing types of water. So it all spiked my curiosity to thinking, well, there must be something more, there's something behind what's going on here. So being able to provide good water for myself, my family, my friends is really important to me, and that is why I've brought it into being a part of my business and sharing that medicine with people and with you. So this is a simplified, I like to keep it simple. We're going to touch on what is living water, cellular hydration, types of water, improving the water at your home, and different choices that you can make. So plenty of things. Feel free to pop me a question on the contact information at the end if they come up along the way, and take some notes as well, and you'll have this to look back over. So what is living water? This is really important aspect to understand the difference between different kinds of water, and this is new for many people. It's not thought about so much, but it affects health hugely. So with filtration, what we're doing is we're taking out of the water what we don't want to be in it. So we're taking out toxins, maybe heavy metals, and this is helpful for our tap water situation, or if someone is drinking water from the land that they want to filter. And this is the first stage in making water really nice to drink, but it is missing a massive aspect of water, which is that we used to drink water from living sources, from moving sources, being waterfalls, rivers, and getting water off of the land. And if we look at nature, we would not drink stagnant water that we see in nature. Like if we saw a puddle or water that had been sitting, it is known instinctively to us that it's dangerous to drink. And what we've done with our tap water is essentially solve this issue of stagnating the water by putting chemicals into it to remove the microbial life and to remove those things that grow in it while it stagnates. And this makes it safe to drink in a sense, but it still doesn't resolve the fact that it has lost this life force, it has lost its charge, and it changes the molecular structure of the water as well, which impacts how our cells absorb the water and how all of the exchange systems within our body function. So water is the connective force that enables life to exist on our planet, and it is incredibly impressionable. So if we are drinking water that has gone over a waterfall, that has been aerated, remineralized, and recharged by the earth, it's going to have a much more different impression in it than if we drink tap water that has gone through the pipes and stagnated in a reservoir. So we want to be thinking about these things, because this is how I teach through the elements of how to get emotional bodies moving, how to release energy from the body. With water, a lot of it is around motion and stagnation, and how to not suppress emotion, how to actually invite it to ebb and flow and to come in waves and embody a river. So if we are drinking from a river and drinking from a waterfall, we're drinking that kind of energy, and we're going to start moving more fluidly, where everything is going to start flowing more. Same if we drink from stagnant sources of water, we're going to start to feel more stagnant, and our systems are going to be more stagnant. So resolving the disconnect that we are separate from nature. This is seeing ourselves in the water and water in ourselves. Like I was just saying about drinking stagnant water or drinking flowing water, it is all connected. So with nature, it's the same. We need to be thinking about how we are affecting our water systems by the practices that we are doing with our farming, with the chemical products that we use, and seeing that water has to be recycled and brought back to us. So generally having more of an awareness of water is like a karmic cycle. It gives more back to you in the future, because you are the one that is aware. You make different choices. Your body benefits from those different choices, and the cycle goes round and round. And it's beautiful because it is like a web, in a sense that if you change, you inspire the people connected to you to change. So it really does start with us, and the roots of natural medicine really tap into this interconnectedness and this simplicity as well, which I will come back to again and again as we move through describing water. So we are connected to everything. The simple foundational blocks of healing are easy to understand and to grasp. It can be almost tempting to go into the separateness, to go into the complexity, to go into the medications and the names and all of the different subcategories that we've managed to create as humans. But we can also have the choice to just come back to the simpleness of the effects of water. So water connects us together. It is in all of our systems, running through all of our systems and connecting them all as one, essentially. So when we have filtering the blood in the kidneys, we can think, how can we support this? How can we facilitate our blood being more clean, our blood being more alkaline, there being less damage in our blood vessels? All of these things help to filter the blood. We have inhalation and exhalation. Can we have flow? Again, this is where we really start to see the effects of water and stagnation and emotional suppression is within the lung space, because the lungs are the interconnection between air and water. So we have water within the blood vessels flowing through the air pockets of the lungs, and we have air within the air pockets of the lungs. And how much we expand and contract the air is how much we pull the toxins out of the blood and nourish the blood. That exchange is dependent upon how much we breathe, and all of that exchange happens within the medium of water. So the type of water that we have, the type of emotions that we're feeling, all of these things contribute to how much we can inhale and exhale, which affects everything else. Breathing is so central. And then we have detoxifying. Is it possible to release toxins? So if we have a lot of stagnation, if our water is not able to move easily in and out of our cells, it becomes quite challenging for the body to detoxify. However, it always wants to be in an optimal state. It always wants to protect us and to keep everything moving as best it can. And therefore, instead of releasing and flowing out the toxins, which is optimal, it starts to store the toxins out of circulation. So we get a lot of toxins built up in the fat tissue, and it tries to put essentially it in all corners of the body until it can't anymore. The last place it will start to put it is in the brain. And of course, then we start to see this build up over with aging. So we may be fine, we may be eating toxins and having poor water for our 20s and 30s, and then we start to see that the leaching of these toxins out of the fat cells and out of the little corners of the body that they have been kindly stored, waiting for us to take the time to detoxify. So that happens with age, and water is a large part of that. So if we can have flow within the body, if we can invite those toxins to be released with a marriage of water and sufficient nutrients, we don't have to store the toxins, and then we don't have to face these speed bumps along the way as we go into older age. So essentially all of these things can be supported and embraced as healthy with good water systems. It really does get underneath everything else. And why is that? So we have cellular hydration. So bringing it down. So we have the systems like the kidneys and the lungs, and within each of these systems is cells. And within the cell, this is the cell membrane. So the borders of each of the cells, inside the cell, we have the nucleus, we have it producing what it needs to produce and doing the job it needs to do. And it's encompassed by this cell membrane, which allows for the exchange of the nutrients and the toxins in and out of the cell. And this is where we start to see the difference in different kinds of water. So the water channel. If the water is clumped together, if it's stagnant, it's harder for it to move in and out of this channel. If it is more separated, if it is vibrating, if it is alive, it is easier for it to move in and out of this channel because it is based off of electrical charge as well. So these are called aquaporins, and they allow the exchange of water. And this is the point where we really see and experience that not all water is equal. So understandably, it is not obvious because I've gotten all the way down to the cell membrane to discover and understand and explain this. So on the surface level, yes, all water does look the same. It tastes maybe a little bit different, but we are having to get down to the cellular level to really see the difference between waters. But we can do that. and we can understand that. So the exchange between cells shifts depending on the properties of the water. So we have the fluid in between the cells, and then we have the fluid inside of the cells, and we will have more fluid outside the cells if we have stagnant water, and this leads to edema, bloating, this feeling of being very heavy. Again, like it's essentially the feeling of stagnant water in the body is really what it is and what it feels like. When people say that they feel like they're overweight or they're carrying weight, but it's not actually fat, it's more feeling like water weight. This is when our systems are really struggling to filter the water that is within the body, and therefore it's just sitting in between our cells. And any water that is stagnant, if it is in nature and we see a puddle, it's going to produce these toxins and these nasty microbes that we don't want. So it's the same within our body. If the body has stagnant water sitting in it, it's going to be causing problems fairly quickly. So we want to be able to move the water. Simple analogy to explain this: the energy flow of water changes the structure of it. So we can see this in rivers and natural springs, as I've said, and we can also have access to this if it is not naturally available to us through the process of electrolysis. So electrolysis is the process of using electricity to separate the water to give it a life force. So this is called ionized water. And if we think about tap water is like a clump of grapes, and ionized water or spring water, waterfall water is like single grapes. So it's the same thing. A grape is a grape, but it's very different when it comes to the cell, which is the wine bottle here. So if we imagine this aquaporin, the cell, as the wine bottle, and we take the clump of grapes and we try and put the clump of grapes into the wine bottle, a couple of the grapes will fall in, but most of them will fall around the wine bottle. Where if we take the grapes individually off the clump and we put them individually into the water bottle or the wine bottle, all of the grapes will go in. And this is what is essentially happening. It is the same thing, but it is just separated and organized differently. And that different level of organization allows us to absorb more of the water and so it allows everything to expand and contract and the water to flow in and out more easily. And this is a simple process that we can have access to. Keeping with that grape analogy, to keep this simple as well, everything within the body is constricting and expanding. So we have all these systems, we have all these complex medications, all of these names for all of these illnesses. Like I'm saying, this is like the segregation. To interconnect it all together, we have the water, which is moving in and out of every single cell. And then we have the second concept of constriction and expansion. So everything is constricting and expanding all the time. This is with the breath, this is with the heart, this is with the digestive system. All of the systems are doing this. And this is like naturally what they do. So when we have hydrated cells, they're like this. So when the waves of constriction and expansion naturally flow through us, which is essentially what we call life force, they can do this. And they can shoot toxins out and they can get nourishment in and shoot toxins out. So this is constantly happening and it's working efficiently because they're plump. However, if we live in a chronically dehydrated state, which is the outcome of not having living water really and having a dehydrating diet as well, with a lot of diuretics and salt and things like that, sugar, our cells become like raisins. So when the constriction and expansion waves of life force come through us, not much really happens. So that leads to more stagnation, more edema, more water building up in the body, and an inability to get the nourishment into the cells that they need to function sufficiently, and an inability to release the toxins out. And we can head into areas of cancer and things like that as well, because the cells just cannot function the way they are meant to, and they start to go haywire. So yeah, a lot of these things underlying is remedied by being able to nourish our cells with the exchange medium of water. So we have types of water to refine what I'm saying here, and we have living water in waterfalls, springs, and this is beautiful and amazing if you have access to it. I've lived for periods of time, showering in spring water and cooking in spring water, drinking it, and fasting in those conditions was just awesome. I felt like air. It was so great. My body could flow. But that's not available for most people now. And to be honest, to actually find a spring that hasn't been polluted by air pollution or ground pollution is highly rare, which is, yeah, it's quite sad, but quite true at the moment. And we have tap water, which, as I was mentioning, is drinkable water, and that is stagnant but safe to drink due to chemicals. We have different kinds of bottled water. Again, it is sitting, it is stagnant, and it is going to say a lot of things on the label. It is still stagnant water, and it is sitting in plastic as well. So bottled water tends to be a bit of a marketing situation where they'll try to say that it's better than any other kind of water, but it's generally not the case. And then we have another option here with a water ionization system, and that gives the life force back into the water, and it filters the water as well. So it's like the artificial version of the spring water or waterfall water. So you're getting that cellular level of hydration, even though it's not coming from the earth. So what are your options in your home space? We have a well or spring water. It's an option for people maybe in the countryside, outside of the cities. And it's important if it's a spring that you are away from the cities because the air pollution will affect it. And a well as well is great if you can get it tested and see what is in the water, making sure that you're not near any agricultural areas or anything like that. You can get that all tested out. It's really great to get your water tested anyways, even if you are drinking the tap water, just so that you know what's there. So then when you go to buy a water system or ask someone for advice around what water system is best for you, they have all the information of what needs to be taken out of the water and where your water is at. The simplest way to change your water system today for the cheapest price is a charcoal filter. This is simply a charcoal bar. Sometimes they're charcoal coins, and they take out heavy metals and harmful chlorine, things like that, in the water, and by absorbing them, because there's active carbon on the outside of the charcoal stick, and that usually lasts for about 6 months. You can keep it in a jug in the kitchen, out in the sun as well. Helps with getting rid of the chlorine as well. And that's maybe €10 for a charcoal stick. Very, very cheap. So you can also pop them in your water bottles that you keep in the car or at work or things like that. That's really helpful, and especially when you're traveling too, that's a great option. Then there are layered filtration systems. So these are more in the range of €100 to €200, and you put your tap water in at the top, and then you have 3 to 5 layers of different types of sediment, and they all take out different things from the water to give you a more purified and remineralized water at the bottom for you to drink. So you just fill it up, and then it takes a little bit of time to filter through, and then you have your filtered water at the bottom. So that is an option. I haven't gone down that option personally myself. I've researched it, but I've never bought one. But you can purchase them in health food stores, and there's a lot of options online as well. Then the next level up is the water ionization system. So this you're getting more into the bracket of €1,000 to €4,000 for a water ionization system, and they usually have a warranty of 5 years and a lifespan of about 25 years. And they hold the filter within the machine, and they pull it through a filter, and then they pull it through the water ionization process and give you the drinking water at the other side. So that's a more long-term option to get that life force into the water, which makes a massive difference. But yeah, it's a bigger investment. And then finally, there is a shower filtration system. So I've spoken a lot about water in general and how water affects the body. So we are not only taking in water when we are drinking water, we're also taking in water when we're in the shower and when we're bathing. And our skin is our largest organ in the body. So we're absorbing a huge amount of things. And it's quite gross to know or to see, if you take a glass of water and you pop some chlorine drops in it, it turns yellow. And so this is because we put chlorine inside our bathing and our drinking water. You stick your hand in the glass for 30 seconds to 1 minute, and you take it out, and then you pop in some chlorine drops. It won't show any chlorine in the water, and that is because it has been absorbed by your skin and into your body. So this is happening for the toxins. We naturally absorb the water that we shower in. So having a shower filter to remineralize the water and to filter out chlorine and other nasties is very beneficial, and definitely helps with skin problems, dry skin, dry hair as well. If you're having hair issues or hair falling out, all of those types of aspects can really be helped by popping in a shower filter. So those are the options to improve your water system. If you have any questions about your personal water system, feel free to send me on an email at elementalempressmedicine@gmail.com. I have also a lot of water articles on my webpage, Elemental Empress Medicine, and I'm also available via WhatsApp, call, phone, at the number there below. So feel free to chime in, send a voice note, just sharing about your concerns and personally what you would like to get out of having a better water system, and I will be able to direct you from there. Thank you so much for watching.